Hey everyone, welcome back to the Super Show. Slight tweak this week. We're going to go through all the week's news, and I think we're going to try that this week. So, first up, there's this rumour, this report, that Darkseid might not be the villain, as we all thought, in Snyder's Justice League movie.
Yes.
There's a rumour circulating that instead of being Darkseid in the first JLA movie, it will be Steppenwolf, who is the guy that is teased, the weird-looking alien that's teased in the Communion. I don't even know what to call that Communion video.
I would say I call it bath time.
Okay.
During bath time.
Yeah.
Lexi bath time.
Lex Luthor has a bath with a big alien.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the creature that's a bit like a Heimdall style helmet.
So we thought he was Steppenwolf, even though he didn't look much like Steppenwolf.
Yeah, well, so everyone was like scratching their heads, working out who was. So the rumor is that he is the first of the new gods that is going to be used in the JLA movie. Now, my opinion on this is cool, because every criticism I have of the DCEU is the rushing things.
Yeah.
We're trying to do everything so quickly, get everything up and running. So the idea, if it's true, they've taken to save Darkseid and play the longer game, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Seed stuff.
Well, Darkseid it.
Yeah.
You can have that one. Yeah, but they're playing the long game a little more, in the same way that Marvel has with Thanos.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing the really long game with Thanos.
Yeah.
This has been going on years now, that bloke. But yeah, I mean, and it gives them a big bad to build towards over the two Justice League movies, if that's when he does come in.
Because also, if you're doing Darkseid, there's a lot of elements, there's a lot of crazy mythology that you need to establish. And if you do that via a secondary character first, it could help a little bit more. Yeah,
and it might make for an interesting dynamic to have two villains kind of fighting with each other, diametrically opposed, or I mean, he's Steppenwolf's Darkseid's uncle in the old comics, so whether they're related or, I think that's always interesting to have villains that aren't really getting along.
Yeah, different agendas.
Yeah.
Different needs. So do you think we'll get Darkseid in JLA Part 2, or do you think they'll play an even bigger game?
No, I think they will. The way that they've seen him in the first one, I think this is building all around one plot that will maybe come in and out of the other. Well, the Flash movie maybe as well. I wonder if it'll be a case of... I wonder how long they can hold their nerve about bringing Superman back. That'll be interesting. Like, do you think for 5 minutes, just have him back? Wait, this movie needs more charisma. Well, literally, though, I mean, isn't he coming back at the end of that movie? Isn't that the start of his return? Yeah, well, he's displacing some dirt. Yeah, that's how... So I thought, like, they'd do a thing where Steppenwolf comes and it realises, like, crap, this is another really big threat. Yeah. And then, that's almost like your cliffhanger at the end of the first part of the movie. Yeah. Is this confirmed, though, or is this just a massive... Absolute massive rumour. Well, I'm not covering stuff that's confirmed. And then if this never... I'm just wondering, we're planning out the films ourselves based on this. Yeah, but if this never comes to pass, no one will remember this. It's fine. Absolutely fine. So maybe next week we do casting Steppenwolf. Yeah. Easy. And will they play the famous Steppenwolf song? I don't know what that song is. The band that sang Born to be Wild. It's called Steppenwolf, yeah. Yeah, I think at this point... It'd be rude not to. They're taking all suggestions for what people want to do with those movies. But to me then, it seems a bit... If this is true, and it is the case, it seems a bit sad and throwaway that they introduced him via a scene that went online. Well, that wasn't even part of the film. I still don't understand what that video was. No. I didn't know whether it's DC saying, in our movies going forward, maybe that's going to be their equivalent of the post-credit sequence. You won't get it on the movie, but the weekend after it opens, there'll be this other thing. But then it's so weird, because I still remember the official press release we got said deleted scene. The movie just came out. Why is there a deleted scene being issued now? A part of me thinks there was obviously some issues behind the scenes with that movie, that someone forgot to splice it in over the credits. Yeah. And therefore they were like, oh no, we got this. Let's just put it on YouTube. What's the name of the editor? You edited that out? I've edited it out 5 hours. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm drowning in footage here. It would be strange if he's the big villain of their first team-up movie and he was introduced in that way and not via even his own scene in that movie. Yeah, or even just like post-credits attached to the movie. Are there more deleted scenes that we'll be getting introducing other characters for around the Blu-ray release? Possibly. I do really want to see that extended cut.
and all the other little bits, which will be out very soon. The R-rated bits.
More to talk about.
The naughty bits. Chris, where was Samuel L. Jackson in Civil War?
Where the hell was Nick Fury? Was he at the optometrist? I'm checking this fella out. Like, where was that guy?
Checking this fella out.
The screenwriters, Chris Marcus, told the LA Times why he wasn't in the film, because it didn't make a lot of sense that he's put this team together and then when they're falling apart, he's absolutely nowhere to be seen.
Winter Soldier, he's kind of faked his own death, hasn't he? And he's just gone into hiding.
Yeah.
But
yet he still pops up when needed, when required. So they said primarily it felt like one too many possible opinions. We didn't want him to take one side or the other because that's not his place in the universe. And then they talk about they didn't want him to be confused as to whether he's with the government or opposed to the government or supporting the government.
Basically, it's only too much hard work to get him in and make the script work. Fair enough.
But then maybe you do a line to explain why he's not around. In the same way they kind of vaguely do things with Hulk and Thor when they're not in proceedings. But yeah, it didn't really seem to make much sense because you would think he would be front and centre actually.
Did you think that when you were watching it? I don't know if thought crossed my mind.
I did. No, I did wonder where he was. I definitely did.
Okay, his flying car.
And interesting, I don't think we're talking about it here, but it's worth checking out on the site. Terry spoke to the screenwriters and they talked about. And we're going to spoilers now. Or should I not go into spoilers?
No, I think it's all on the table these days.
Spoiler, all right.
I think if you're watching the show and you subscribe to this channel,
you've got a few seconds. But the fact that no one dies in the film, I thought was very interesting, the answer they gave as to why no one died.
Oh, I haven't seen that. What did they say?
They just said that if one of the Avengers died, that they would all rally around and stop fighting each other because they would kind of see the error of their ways, and it would be such a big thing that they didn't think it would make sense for these characters for it to happen in that way.
Pretty good.
It's a fair answer.
Good answer, guys.
Yep.
So the R.
I know.
We're just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, for now.
Okay. Simon Kinberg's been speaking about the next Wolverine movie, which is definitely happening, and he has confirmed that it will be rated R, which is something we thought was happening for a time, especially in light of the success of Deadpool. But he's also said something about the tone of the movie. He says it's violent. It's kind of like a Western in its tone. It's just very cool, different film, but same director.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they'd got a different director, I think, for it. Like, the Wolverine's fine.
Hasn't Mangold done a great Western, though? I feel like he has, and I'm just drawing a blank now. I'm sure he's directed a really good Western in the last 10 years.
Turn that in.
Yeah.
But he also declined to confirm that Patrick Stewart is playing Professor X in Wolverine and who else would appear in the movie. So the rumour that's still going is this is going to be a version of Old Man Logan. But like a lot of these adaptations of comic book storylines, it might be totally unrecognisable from the source material, a la Civil War.
It can't be anything like Old Man Logan.
Well, they don't have the rights to loads of the characters that you'd want in that story.
And it's a mad story. But yeah, you're totally right. Like all the villains in it, a lot of the characters.
Or like the Hulk mutant creatures.
Well, yeah, him living inside the Hulk for a little bit and then bursting out.
Can't do that on film.
It's a bit weird. It's a bit of a waste of Paul Mark Ruffalo as well. Yeah, we just killed you off in this.
But no, do the Edward Norton, get him back and do that.
But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of it being more like an Unforgiven style swan song for Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
he'll be back though. We know he will.
He's never not in an X-Men movie, even when he's not supposed to be or serves no real purpose.
You've given me quite a weird story now.
Good.
I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but. So I'll just read it direct. If Captain America was a real person, he may have been entitled to over $3 million in back pay, according to the US Army spokesman Wayne Hall. So apparently someone asked him this, or it came out of a thread on Reddit. I mean, I would hope that official US Army spokesman Wayne Hall might have better things to do.
I just feel really... I'll put this in because, one, it's kind of weird, but also I feel really sorry for Wayne Hall. Because if he says no, he looks like a dick. And then also there's no way that he can justify it because he's actually trying to give a very serious answer. It's like, well, it's a wide variety of variables that have to be taken in consideration. Yeah. Like a man being frozen through time.
He then says, he calls it 3 million, but he suggests it might even be higher when taking into account any promotions he might have received in the intervening years.
And I think it's safe to assume Captain America would have been promoted. He's very, one thing you know about him, very good at being a soldier.
Good egg.
Good egg.
Oh, it's still there.
Still there, isn't it?
All right.
Okay, so going into JLA, Ben Affleck's apparently got kind of a promotion. He's going to be executive producer on that movie, and again, a little bit, we're in speculation territory here, that he's going to have more creative control. If rumours to believe, he was furious. He was very unhappy about doing the press tour for Batman v Superman.
Right.
And he wasn't happy about some of the questions he may have got and just the general reception of the movie. And people are inferring that to placate him and to make sure he did the standalone Batman movie, he's going to be given a bit more creative control over JLA as a project. Do you think there's any truth to that?
I can tell you there was truth to the fact that he didn't seem happy, because I was at that junket and I was actually going around the junket rooms with a former colleague of ours who asked the question that got turned into the meme of
Sad Affleck.
Yeah, Sound of Silence. And yeah, he didn't feel like he really wanted to be there. Like, he just felt like he was a bit...
His body language.
The reviews had come out that morning, and I thought I was talking to a guy who didn't feel like he wanted to direct a Batman movie at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they're bending over backwards. Certainly the way someone, the producer or Zack Snyder, spoke to me, they were saying that he's, he wants to direct the movie, but he won't start a movie until everything is in place. And with movies like these, unfortunately, you just have a release date, and therefore you have to have a start date, and you have to start maybe if the script isn't perfect or if certain deals haven't been signed off. And so I think he was feeling discomfort because of that as well. Because
there are those rumours that he was rewriting bits of the script in the Batman suit, which, if true, is crazy. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, or it might have been that they just came up with some better lines on set for him to say. In the same way that...
What's this? Is this an Oscar for screenwriting? Yeah. So I don't know where that's...
It's in the same way, I've been on a Seth Rogen set, and they're writing the script as they've got the script there, but they're also coming up with better lines because they're smart people. So maybe it was as simple as that, and someone's blown that out of proportion. Yeah. I've got to move that.
He's just dressed as Batman, just riffing. I've got another line for this.
Top bants.
Good. Do you bleed? Do you seed? Use the first one.
X-Men, Simon Kinberg has said he's confirmed that the next X-Men film will be set in the 1990s, but he's not confirmed which X-Men film. But I think let's just take it for granted that it's the next X-Men film.
Core.
Being that it's been 60s, 70s, 80s, I mean, I'm surprised that this is even a story.
All right, Rain Man. So, you've seen a pattern here.
It just, but he apparently has said that, and we're speculating that it could be a New Mutants film or I don't know what else. But
I think if you've got, we'll talk more about Apocalypse next week, because you and I have both seen it, but we're going to wait till next week. Yeah. If you've seen even the trailers for that film, they're setting up all the iconic 90s X-Men, pretty much. Yeah. Nightcrawler, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey. It'd be crazy if they didn't do the next one with that cast of characters.
Could they do the same plot as X1 movie, but with new actors?
Well, yeah, of all people who were born the year that came out, by the time that movie came around... No, it's okay, I feel old too. They'll be like 18, 19.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Grim. Anyway... That's the news.
Oh, what a depressing note to end that news on.
The news that's fit to print.
What are we doing now, Chris?
Should we do some Captain America feedback?
Yeah. Wow, there's a load of it.
Do you want to do all of it or save a bit of it for another time?
Yeah, let's do a bit now and a bit on the second episode this week.
Okay, great. All right, I'll start with the first bit. Again, we got a huge amount, not quite as much as we had for Batman v Superman, but a lot. And I would say, because I'm the one that's read it all, the majority was in the positive on this occasion. But we had some negative as well, and we've tried to split it reasonably evenly. So, Kadeem Graham says, just watched Civil War, absolutely loved it. It was emotional and serious, but had what BVS didn't, a sense of fun. I was emotionally invested in Captain's and Iron Man's point of view because the seeds of their views were planted. In Tony's anguish over Ultron and Captain's distrust of government from Winter Soldier. Spider-Man, Black Panther and Ant-Man were highlights for me. Zemo was a quiet, more reserved villain whose motivations were human and relatable. I'm incredibly excited to see how the Russos tackle Infinity Wars. For me, I was Team Iron Man, but I understood both sides. So it's interesting that Kadeem likes Zemo because we did have some negative.
Really, yeah.
On the Nemo front.
I kind of appreciated Zemo more the second time. I saw how it held together a bit more. I think I was overthinking it sometimes in the first viewing.
Yeah.
Jack Jones, I just watched Marvel Civil War last night, and as much as I enjoyed the film, I was disappointed by the ending. I could understand and sympathise with every character, which shows just how much work the Russo brothers put into the character development, except for Cap. I understand that Zemo wanted revenge for his family, and that Stark wanted it for his parents, but for Cap to beat up and abandon Stark after he just watched his parents be strangled and beaten to death was just cruel. Sure, he couldn't let Stark kill Bucky, but he could have understood his side and tried to help him, especially after Stark came to help them after he realised Zemo was behind it. What I'm trying to say is that almost every character had a change in conscience, from Black Panther to Iron Man to Black Widow, but Cap just seemed very arrogant and blind to the changing opinions, only seeing his own throughout the whole film.
I thought that was an interesting email because I hadn't really thought about that perspective. I mean, is it because Cap is just a straight arrow and will just, he sees what's right and nothing will move him from that path? Or does he do things in this film that are quite hard to stomach?
I think that's a really fascinating question, because there's a bit of dialogue in the movie where Agent 13 speaks to him, and it's the line from the comics, so it's like, everyone is telling you you're wrong, but you know you're right, it's your responsibility to plant yourself like a tree and say, no, you move. I'm paraphrasing there. And that kind of sums him up. Like, he is this infallible moral compass. And like you say, is it just he knows what he thinks is right, but then what's interesting is, to counter that point, is the line that Spider-Man says. Like, obviously Spider-Man, everyone respects Captain America. Everyone fighting against him knows he's a good guy. He's Captain bloody America. But the line that Spider-Man says, which Tony's told him, it says, you're a good guy and you think what you're doing is right. That's what makes you dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's a really clever line.
Is Captain America the villain of Civil War?
No.
No?
Good.
Great email, though.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack.
This is another positive one. It's from Al Patrickson, who says, this is Alicio from Bayonne, New Jersey. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Bayonne correctly. I've never even heard of that place.
Bayonne.
If I may say, here's what I think of Civil War. I think it's the best Marvel movie yet, and here are 5 reasons why.
Nice.
Spider-Man, obviously, the best incarnation of him yet. Black Panther. Giant Man, your favourite comic book movie moment of 2016. The airport battle, and the way it sets in motion all to come in Phase 3 with Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Excellent. Who's that email from?
Al Patrickson.
Well, thank you. I like the formatting.
Yes.
Pithy, to the point.
Easy to read.
Good email.
You give me a big chunk of text, I'm in trouble. Sorry.
Like that. Ryan, though I don't want to say too many spoilers, I think it's all out on the table now.
We're talking spoilers, although this doesn't go too spoilery.
Civil War definitely felt like it had an agenda to present Captain America's side as right and Iron Man's side as wrong. We were warned about this in advance. It was made clear beforehand that this is a Captain America movie, not an Avengers movie. So it was to be expected that Cap would be presented as having the moral high ground. My question is, could the film have benefited by presenting Tony as more relatable and his side as the same level of credibility, even making this another Avengers movie, and removed any sense of leaning one way or another? Or would making another Avengers movie so close after Age of Ultron devalue the importance of when an Avengers film comes out? And leaning the crowd to favour Rogers was the right choice all along. I mucked that last bit up. Never mind. That's from Ryan. So let me just break that down into the 2 points. Do you think the movie unfairly presents Tony's perspective?
I don't, actually, because that was my fear going in. But as we talked about in the spoiler cast, I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Cap and Bucky stuff going along, but at the same time, there's quite a lot of Tony Stark stuff. Particularly, early on with his parents, or that moment with the woman who's lost her son.
Yeah.
And I think that, we're all saying, well, what could turn Tony Stark to be on the side of the government, having been so anti-government all the way through and such a rebel? And then that one scene, they actually pretty much nail it, I think, in that you see that he's a really good, decent guy who feels terrible for the death of this innocent person that maybe wouldn't have happened if it weren't for what they'd done.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of it is filtered through Cap because it's a Captain America movie, but I agree, there's lots of stuff with Tony, and when I watched it the second time, the scene that I thought was really effective was when the woman tells him about her son in front of the lift, but when he goes back and relays that story to the rest of the Avengers, he has this line about going, when we were flying around kicking ass, like we didn't care, and it's like, it's very easy to think, oh, we're awesome, and it's like quite a sad line, and then also when you find out that Pepper's left him, that's really sad, like he just can't stop, and it's kind of ruined his life as well.
I feel like the title is a bit of a misnomer. I think they could have called it Avengers 3 and it wouldn't have been any different a movie. No. I feel like it's a continuation of one story and the conclusion of another story, and they just had to put a title on it.
Yeah.
And I think it works well in both ways, but I think it's maybe making people go in with kind of preconceived notions about what they're going to see.
That's interesting, because I do think it is a pretty good Captain America 3, because it resolves a lot of that's why it just works in a lot of ways, because the Marvel Universe, we've got these ones that are very standalone movies that maybe are going to not seem standalone retrospectively, like Guardians and stuff will eventually set up stuff that will be important later on, but then we'll have Ant-Man, which is standalone, but then this one is Captain America 3, but it's really just pushing along the core Marvel storyline. Thanks, Ryan. Excellent, good stuff. How can people send us emails related to anything?
Is it the superhero show IGN.com?
Yes, it is superhero show IGN.com. Until next week, take care.